I'm going to get things started with some puns. Now, fair warning, sometimes puns can cause certain side effects, like involuntary eye rolls, groans, palms to the face, awkward silence, and on rare occasion, laughter. Just know that whatever comes up for you is totally normal. There's no need to be concerned. Everything is going to be okay. All right, on to the puns. The topic is geography. I'll go first, and then Europe. Now, there's no way you're going to top my puns, but can ya give it a try? I sure hope you're gonna. All right. Sorry to Russia things, but I believe we're going to need to wrap things up before this gets painfully awkward. I hope we can still be France. I could go on and on and on, and I usually do. I am a dad after all. But that's what happens with puns. One leads to another, leads to another. Now, puns are a unique kind of wordplay. They're the perfectly imperfect combination of sound and meaning that make connections between words that didn't exist before. Like if I was to tell you that I have been to the dentist so many times that I know the drill. The drill can mean both the thing that you do all the time, but it's also the instrument that the dentist puts in your mouth that makes a horrible noise and grinds away at your teeth. Both totally different things. But the pun brings those two words together in an unexpected, thought-provoking, dad joke sort of way. That leads to the aforementioned eye rolls and groans and occasional laughter, as long as you don't have to explain it like I just did. But just as a pun can make unexpected connection between two similar sounding but totally unrelated words, so too can we find connection with one another and community with one another when we share a pun, a dad joke, or some other creative act. And it's these connections with others, most particularly with people that we feel like we have nothing in common with, that are more crucial today than they have ever been. And they're also more difficult to make in this divided and polarized world in which we live. As a recovering alcoholic, I have battled with isolation and addiction. But I've also been transformed by the power of our community. In sobriety, you need people. It truly does take a village to heal, and community is the first and most vital part of healing. And sadly, it's something we feel like we're losing touch with today. My first few years in recovery were not easy, and they're not for anybody. But thanks to the community of sobriety that I embraced, I was able to stay committed to the point where I have over 12 years sober today. Thank you. Thank you. But there was a point in time, just a couple of years into my recovery, where I found that I was forming a new addiction. And this time it wasn't to alcohol or any other substance. This time it was to a different drug. It was to the news and social media. I was consuming it nonstop. And like many others, I felt this incessant need to engage with everything negative on social media that was dividing our country and our world. I would sit in front of the television for hours just watching the talking heads. I would lay in bed at night staring at my phone, fixated on the latest political turmoil, almost hoping that it would happen so that I could immerse myself in the drama. It was an insidious and toxic obsession. And the worst part about it was that it was masquerading as my civic duty, my responsibility even, because I was under the illusion that I was staying informed. But in reality, I was just feeding an addiction that was eroding my sense of peace and making me feel more isolated, alone, and angry. I realized that something had to change before it got worse. So just as I put down the bottle years earlier, I made a decision to turn off the news and disengage from the toxic discourse on social media and take back control of my life. And it was then that I had an epiphany. What if, instead of contributing to the negativity that's everywhere out there, what if I contributed something a little more positive, more creative even? And it all started with something simple: a really bad dad joke. It was a long, drawn-out dad joke that I posted on Facebook. It was a joke about a pirate, and honestly, not a very good one. I don't think it landed very well, probably because this particular joke about a pirate didn't have a hook. But still, it was a small, positive act that started a snowball rolling. Those jokes soon turned into daily puns, and people slowly but surely began to respond, some even commenting with puns of their own, and I in turn would comment with my own pun. For example, I might start a post with something like this: I wonder if my wife would like my United States puns. Maybe Alaska. To which somebody might comment, maybe you Kentucky about it with her later. And then, of course, I would reply back in return, I would, but I'm afraid Illinois her. And as you could tell, and on it went, but as you could tell, they didn't necessarily have to be very good puns, but that was the beauty of it. Because for as bad as these puns may have been, and some of them were really bad, the key was in the connection that they made. And as more and more people began to participate in these daily pun wars, it only amplified the laughter, the positivity, and of course, the groans. It was truly grown-up behavior. And what started as a small act of rebellion against divisiveness and negativity, a way to shed a little bit of light and levity on my small part of the world, soon blossomed into a vibrant community where I made friends with people that I would have never otherwise known had it not been for the pun wars. We need to put an end to the negative obsessions that divide and isolate us, whether it's the news or doom-scrolling social media or anxiety about the future or regret about the past, and instead embrace the creative activities that bring joy and build community. It starts with something simple, like a pun, or a dad joke, or some other creative act. Share it with the world, and then just watch, as it accidentally builds the community that you never knew you needed. Now, you don't need me to tell you that our world is divided, but it is. People all over the world, people like you and me, are grappling with cultural conflict, economic unease, and new social chasms. More and more of us are feeling like it's us versus them, and social media is not helping. As the Pew Research Center has shown, Americans are increasingly partisan in their views, and social media plays a big role in that divide. In fact, a majority of Americans polled by the Pew Research Center say that they believe that social media has a negative effect on the way things are going in the U.S. And this negativity and this division, just like an old diesel truck idling in the driveway, it's exhausting. It feels like it's a problem that we just can't solve. But what if the solution starts with just a small act of rebellion? Something any one of us can participate in. One small, positive, creative act shared with the world. Here's what I've learned after more than 8 years of daily puns and more than 3,000 pun wars about the power of a small creative habit to build community. When you start your day with something positive and creative and you share it with the world, you shift your focus away from the negativity that's everywhere out there, more toward a positive mindset That's what it did for me, and the transformation was profound. It didn't just alter the start of my day, it transformed my entire approach to life. I was no longer so angry, but I felt more playful. I was no longer so isolated, but I felt more connected. It had a ripple effect that touched every area of my life, and it wasn't just me who felt it. It became a source of joy for the community that I attracted through that simple daily habit, my fellow pun warriors. And more than being a source of joy, most importantly, it forged connections between people that would have never otherwise existed. Just like the nature of the pun itself. It was the very definition of life imitating art. Humor, or really any kind of creative activity, has a unique way of disarming us and bringing us closer together, something that we desperately need today. While a pun a day might seem insignificant, it's these small creative acts, shared consistently, that lay the foundation for the connections that we crave and the community that we never knew we needed. In the fabric of life, as we stitch together moments of joy, let's remember that every pun we share knits us closer together. As divided as this world is and as it's going to become, let's continue to punctuate our days with laughter and remember that that's the thread that holds us all together. So what will it be for you? Will it be puns that you use to embroider laughter onto the canvas of our collective experience, stitching us closer together? Or will it be a work of art, a painting, a song, a dance, a story, a photograph? It need not be professional, but you need to bring it into existence and share it with the rest of us because we are craving that connection, even if we don't necessarily know it. That's how you change the world. One pun at a time. One small creative act at a time. So whatever creative act that you are going to plant, let it branch out and build the community that you never knew you needed. And yes, in case it didn't stick out to you, branch was a pun. Can you believe it? Thank you.